Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today it's yet another video in my 2024 offseason prediction video series. It's the Chicago Bears. Make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. Really helps out with the algorithms. The comments also are really important to help push this video out, positive and negative, whatever the discourse may be. I like to hear your thoughts. It helps with the video, helps push it out to more people, and that's at the end of the day what I care about more than anything. Being honest, dude, like whatever. I just want my channel to be popular. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want people to watch the videos. That's it. Leave a comment, hit the like button. But the Chicago Bears are in a very unique situation because of what they did last season in the draft, trading that number one pick. They somehow finessed the Carolina Panthers into not only giving them DJ Moore, but the first overall pick in this year's draft in exchange for that trade up on top of other picks in other rounds. But those are the big pieces that ended up happening. And they got a lot of cap room. Not a lot of people they need to bring back. In fact, they got some veterans who they could probably afford to get rid of that are going to yield them some pretty good cap savings and not a lot of dead money. They're going to be able to execute maybe some contract extensions to clear up some cap room, while also paying some of their better players big money, wink, wink. And they can also trade away the guy they have right now under center, which, full disclosure, I feel like that's the way it's going to end up going. They'll get some sort of package of day two picks, probably some conditional picks in there as well. I'll sort of brainstorm and sort of give you guys my idea of what that's going to probably look like. Based upon the value and the fact that Justin Fields would have to get paid very soon, much sooner than any other rookie quarterback that they could add onto the roster. And because he's so unproven as being an actual great passing threat, I don't see the value that being that high, to be honest. Sorry to break it to you, Bears fans, but that seems to just be the reality you're living in. But you're going to be able to upgrade your quarterback position at the number one pick nonetheless. And you're still going to be in a position to add another weapon on the offense. You have all that money in free agency to add weapons on the offense. We'll get to that. I'm not a big fan of what you guys are doing coaching staff-wise. I think it is holding you guys back, particularly with the head coach that you guys, for whatever reason, decided to keep. So we're here, and we're going to start with the coach, Matt Eberflus. And this just, it really befuddles me that they've kept Eberflus. Yes, I understand the Bears kind of overachieved this year, and but they were still a bottom 10 team in the NFL. They really showed no signs of development on either side of the ball. Tyreek Stevenson was okay, I guess, but they didn't really show a whole lot. And I mean, they got a new offensive coordinator, so that's good. At least I think they brought the quarterback coach from Seattle in to be the offensive coordinator. I had his name written down, and of course I can't find it when, okay, whatever. But this is what they have to do on offense, and this is what I'm talking about with Justin Fields. He's just not the guy for me. Yes, you were second in rushing attempts, second in rushing yards. That's all well and good if you're winning games as a playoff team, but you're not going to be a great team unless you can really throw the ball. And Justin Fields just isn't a great passer. That's just the be-all, end-all of the whole thing. I know Tyson Bagent played for a couple of games this year as well. But I just don't love the pass offense. You had Cole Kmet, who you paid. You had DJ Moore, who you acquired in a trade. You have Darnell Mooney, who was out there. You got Velus Jones, who you took in the third round last year. You got Khalil Herbert. You had Dante Foreman, who were pretty good this year, but you lacked the ability to truly put the ball in your quarterback's hands at the end of games and throughout games and throw the ball to make a comeback. You just didn't have that ability. You had the ability where if you got up early, then you had a huge advantage, but that's not going to be the case in a lot of NFL games. You have to anticipate being able to come from behind at certain points, and they're just not built to do that on the offensive side of the ball. They gave up a lot of sacks. Their offensive line wasn't that bad in run blocking. Obviously, they were good. They were pretty decent in red zone percentage, pretty decent on third down. It's just it's a lot of the passing stats are just not up to snuff. And I'm not sure that Justin Fields is ever going to get you there. I think you bring in a new offensive coordinator, you have a great opportunity right now to move on from that and immediately make yourself a better passing team, which I think will make the entire offense much better at the end of the day. But that's really just what the offensive guy's in charge of. Matt Eberflus is a defensive guy. He came over from the Colts as a defensive coordinator. And this defense just didn't perform much either. They got thrown all over. People weren't really running the ball on them much at all. That's why their run defensive stats are what they are. But they were 31st in the red zone, 29th on third down, 31st in sacks. And again, they just got thrown all over, and that's the reason why their turnovers were allowed to be so high, because teams were just constantly throwing the ball, so it created opportunities. But really, outside of Jalen Johnson, who was probably the best corner in the NFL this year, this defense was absolutely horrific, and you need to find ways to get after the passer. Trading for Montez Sweat's a good first step. I think you have to keep working towards bringing in guys who can get after the quarterback, both at defensive end and interior defensive line. They got some interior guys in the last draft. Zach Pickens and Gervin Dexter? The Zach Pickens I get confused with another guy that was in the draft. I always got their names confused. But I know they took Gervin Dexter, and then I'm pretty sure it was Zach Pickens was the name that they got, they were rookies, whatever, put over rotation. But they really need to focus on improving this pass defense, because really at the end of the day, all their problems had to do with the pass on both sides of the football. And that's on Matt Eberflus to put the right guys in place. You're the head coach. You got to keep everything in line. You have to make sure this team is directed, is being pushed in the right direction, being built in the right direction. And in the modern day NFL, if you have a bad pass offense and a bad pass defense, you're not going to win games. You're not going to be a playoff team. You're not going to be able to take that next step. So that's something that has to drastically improve, and they have to work towards that now. And here's a huge advantage the Chicago Bears have, and they used it to their advantage in the last offseason, was their salary cap. So they were able to make a lot of moves that a lot of other teams haven't been able to make. So they're going to be able to now take a second year to then add more pieces to their team to go along with what they did in the last offseason with $46.8 million. And they can create more room here while also keeping a key player. And that's Jalen Johnson, who I would franchise tag right now at $18.4 million just to keep him on the roster. And then you're probably going to have to look at giving him at least a Trayvon Diggs level contract. Jalen Johnson wanted to get traded. There was talks about him wanting to get traded during the season. I can't imagine them keeping the same defensive structure and the same team in that sense as making him want to stay. So is this a tag and trade situation where, it's going to be tough because of the value that a team has to trade for in the franchise tag? So you can't, it's tagging and trading who's going to give up that big contract in the draft capital. So really what I would do is I would try to bring him in, but also then create some extra cap space so you're not completely killing it. And that's by releasing Cody Whitehair and safety Eddie Jackson. Moving on from two veteran players, Eddie Jackson's a $12.5 million cap savings. That's money that can be used to make sure that you retain Jalen Johnson, who is a significantly more valuable player at this point in their careers. Cody Whitehair was always sort of like a middle-of-the-pack offensive lineman, sort of hasn't been performing that way. You get $9.1 million, and you can just replace him. You look for a center in the draft or in free agency or something. I think you can get relatively the same, if not better, production for much cheaper. Then there's trading Justin Fields. You get $3.2 million in salary cap savings. I think you can get a third-round pick in this year's draft for him, and then a 2025 conditional pick based upon performance, re-signings, percentage of play, all that. And I wouldn't be shocked if they were able to negotiate that conditional 2025 pick to be as high as a first-round pick next year, with the possibility of it being either a second or a third. I think if the team, Justin Fields plays 75% of the snaps, the team makes the playoffs, then that could be like a first-round pick for Justin Fields if he plays 75% of the snaps and gets a just gets an extension. They don't make the playoffs, maybe that's a second round pick. And if if he only plays, if they don't make the playoffs and they don't extend him, then it's another third round pick and you've just gotten 2/3 for him, while being able to upgrade the quarterback position. And then you want to create some more cap space here, and we're going to do that with DJ Moore. We're going to extend DJ Moore. We're going to make him feel loved. We're going to make sure that he stays, stay with us here. You're the best offensive weapon on the team. Let's keep him happy. And the best way to keep him happy is to give the guy lots of money. And I'm doing that by giving him a 4-year, $50 million deal with a $50 million bonus on top of that. So the overall value, 4 years, $100 million. I'm going to throw 2 void years in there to spread out the cap hit of the bonus. And then try to make the first year as minimal as possible. Sort of turn the first year the base salary that he would do this year, convert that into a bonus to lessen the cap hit as well. And then focus on getting him accustomed to your new quarterback, your new offense, and really have him be one of the true leaders of that and the true wide receiver one on this offense. So I was able to retain Jalen Johnson while being able to extend your best offensive player, and I actually was able to get you guys more salary cap. So this is where you're going to be able to make some gigantic moves in free agency yet again, and I got some pretty big ones for them that are out there. But let's first address the needs of this team in general. We kind of touched upon it throughout so far. You got the quarterback position. I think the running back position is another one that they could be looking into getting. Just as another weapon out there out of the backfield. Khalil Herbert I like as a number 2. Dante Foreman, I think his contract is coming up. I really like him as a number 2 as well. But you don't really have like a number 1 running back on the roster. And I think that they can go out and get one of those. And then there's the wide receiver position. Like Darnell Mooney's an impending free agent. I would like to go out there and get like a nice high-end wide receiver too, if you can, especially in this draft early on with that second first-round pick you have. I think that's a huge opportunity that they can really strike gold here. Interior offensive line, particularly center. The defensive line, you want to get somebody opposite Montez Sweat. You want to get a true force there for the interior defensive line. And then you just want to expand your defensive back room. You got some versatile guys that you can move around a bit, but you want to continue to build that DB room. And also, if you're not able to extend Jalen Johnson, maybe you're able to tag him and he plays on the franchise tag for a year. You still have to be prepared to move on from him. So you might want to get a little bit ahead of that if you can help it in that like day 2 area, like they did last year with Tyreek Stevenson, and how they've done the year before that with Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker. So I think that they can continue to use that day 2 probably in particular to fill those needs and to stay ahead of the curve there where you're not playing with an overly depleted and inexperienced secondary. So I'm going after 3 pretty big free agents. We'll start with the running back, Josh Jacobs. I'm going to give him a 4-year, $40 million deal with a $20 million bonus. Throw 2 void years on the end of there, spread out that bonus. This is like Alvin Kamara, I think, level money that I used. Because Josh Jacobs is going to demand a pretty big extension regardless of where he goes. He's coming off 2 years ago. He was the number 1 running back in the league. Took a bit of a step back this year, but that was, some changes in the front office, changes in the coaching staff and the offensive strategies and all that. So there was just a lot of flux there, not a lot of stability. I'm looking at the wide receiver room, and Tyler Lockett is a likely cut that's going to happen. I think that if Seattle cuts him, they free up like $17 million in cap. I think it was something really high with not a lot of dead money. Where the likelihood, because they drafted JSN last year, that them clearing up that cap space, spending it elsewhere is very likely. But I got him following the offensive staff that he used to have, that he had just this year in Seattle, to Chicago, come in, be a wide receiver 3 probably on this team. He's gonna be able to work with whoever you bring in to be that wide receiver 2 to complement DJ Moore. But you want to have this veteran presence in there, a really sure-handed guy that's going to help out whoever your quarterback is next season. And then I'm looking at the defensive line, and I'm making a big splash at Christian Wilkins, who, based upon Miami's salary cap situation, I don't know how they're going to retain a lot of these bigger contracts that they have coming up. And Christian Wilkins coming off of a great season, he's certainly going to demand a lot of money, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was gone. And they're going to pay him 4 years, $50 million with a $35 million bonus with a void year in there. This is the like Javon Hargrave contract. A little bit higher than that. Javon Hargrave, I think, got 4 years, $80 million or 81 million or something like that. I'm giving him a total value of $85 million. You throw in the void year again, spread out that that bonus hit. Those void years, man, they're pretty awesome when you start putting them into the cap calculator. Very useful. I'm surprised that it took so long for teams to start using them. I think that was the New Orleans Saints front office that really started to use those void years to thin out those cap hits and increasing bonuses, lowering base salaries. I'm pretty sure they were the ones that really started doing that with a lot of their contracts, but that also is the reason why they're in salary cap freaking hell right now. $80 million over the cap, but we'll get to that some other video. But I think 3 big splashes here, guys who are instant contributors. You get a 3-down running back who you now have Khalil Herbert, who can complement, I think, Josh Jacobs really well. Christian Wilkins and Montez Sweat are now the 2 dominant leaders on your defensive line, one off the edge, one on the interior. Both can get after the passer in different ways, so that'll help out whoever it is that's going to be that defensive end number 2, and it's also going to help out whoever is that interior guy number 2, and it's going to help raise them up as well, and it's really going to be the start of maybe a very strong defensive line, and this could probably end up helping guys like Gervin Dexter really improve, be part of the rotation, and let Christian Wilkins sort of maybe teach him a thing or two that he's learned over the years with some really good defensive influences. And even with all that, they got $25.6 million left over. So that's, an $18 million cap hit on Jalen Johnson. You can now afford to maybe hit him with like a $23-24 million a year average salary cap hit and still have quite a bit of money to then fill out the rest of the roster, get into that second, third wave of free agency after the draft, bring in some veterans. Maybe, you've found a way through a strong free agency in the first wave and a strong draft that you're maybe getting some of the more veteran players excited to come over to the team, fill out the roster, give them opportunities where you may be a little bit weaker. So here's my draft strategy, plain and simple. I'm taking Caleb Williams number 1. It just makes the most sense. He's a great athlete, so I understand he's not the athlete Justin Fields is, but Caleb Williams is like that, would immediately become like a second tier quarterback in terms of the ability to be super athletic, take off, from the pocket, extend plays. That first year, of course, being Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen type players, Jalen Hurts. But I think Caleb Williams immediately goes into that second layer, which is really all you need. You want to take the arm talent that he has that's significantly better than Justin Fields, if it means taking a little bit of a loss in the ability for the quarterback to be this ultimate running threat. And trading Justin Fields also helps reset your quarterback contract clock on top of it, because you can keep Justin Fields. You can count on him. Oh, he's going to be the guy. But then you end up in a situation like the New York Giants where now you're going, if he doesn't really perform up to snuff and he kind of just performs the way he did this year, then now you're stuck, because he's going to play well enough and be enough of a weapon, enough of a threat that you're going to steal some games that you shouldn't. And it's going to put you in a position where you're going to be out of reach for the top quarterback. You're going to be like where you were now, where picking like somewhere between 8 and 12 in the draft next year with Justin Fields, probably, if all goes well. And now you have to mortgage your entire future that you just traded back last year to get extra for. And now you've been pretty much blessed by the Carolina Panthers sucking, and you can now still get the quarterback, and you still have that 9th pick to continue to build on this team that you have. And as for that 9th pick, I'm looking at Rome Odunze, who seems to be the wide receiver that'll be there. We expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to be gone by pick number 4. Getting past Arizona doesn't seem like much of a possibility. And then Malik Neighbors, I don't see him getting past the New York Giants, probably at 6. Certainly not at 7 or 8 with the Falcons and the Titans. So Rome Odunze's probably your best bet. If Rome Odunze is gone, then you've sort of gotten out of that top 10 wide receiver area. And in that case, I would try to figure out a way to trade back. Get maybe, another third round pick. And then you could be picking 3 or 4 times in the third round, be able to turn those third round picks into a second round pick to get a guy you might really like, particularly a center in that second round, early third round, to come in and grow with Caleb Williams. And then focus on your defensive depth, like I brought up earlier, getting guys like Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon in that second round, in those day 2 areas. That's a good way to build your defensive depth because you're getting good players, but it allows you to still keep Jalen Johnson, and then you work these guys in slowly, allow them to develop, and then before you know it, you probably could have a really deep defensive back room in particular, and I think you can do that across the board on the defense. The linebacker room is really the only strength of that defense. It's truly a strength, with Tremaine Edmonds and why am I blanking on his name? They signed him last year too from the Eagles. Oh my God. Why is this happening? Why is it, I know who you guys know who I'm talking about. Oh my God. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm not going to keep going back and forth. I can't believe this. Whatever. That's the strength of their team. And so building that defensive line, getting Christian Wilkins in free agency, you can still go after guys on the defensive line, get situational players, perhaps guys that are really good on early downs to maybe give guys like Christian Wilkins and Montez Sweat a breather so they're not constantly out there on the field to save their legs for late in the game for those third down situations, things like that. I think but you have such a tremendous opportunity because of how smart you were last year with the draft, that now you have the opportunity, you can land your quarterback and still work a lot of draft capital on that second day in particular, and continue to add some great young talent onto your team. And there you have it. My 2024 offseason prediction video for the Chicago Bears. Make sure to leave a like and a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think about the Bears offseason, what that's going to look like in comparison to what I projected. I think I did pretty well for you guys, though. I think I did. I kept your best defensive player. I extended your best offensive player, all while clearing up cap space, got rid of some dead weight, but then immediately kind of plugged in some real difference makers for you guys. Christian Wilkins, Josh Jacobs, and then Tyler Lockett, who isn't officially a free agent, but is likely to be one. I think those are great players. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for the Bears to maybe not take that next step this year, but to really set themselves up and project really well for the years to come, and improve where you guys need to improve. Got the rest of the series on either side of my head. One's a playlist, one's the recommended video that the YouTube gods think that you should watch that I made. So why don't you just trust them and watch that video? How about that? Try that. Try it, and I'll see you guys next time.